Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Just wanted to let you know really quickly that the new fan gear is now back in stock on Teespring. Link is in the description below. The new 2020 coffee mugs. These are the 11-ounce porcelain cups with the two different fingerprints on it in writing. And the new Bork Bork Nom Nom shirts are in stock as well. So the link is in the video description below. Stop by the store and pick something up today. Really helps my channel out. So let's get into it today. Welcome back, everyone. So we're taking a look at today. Further information has been released on the arrest affidavit for Chad Daybell, the search of Chad Daybell's property in Salem, Idaho, and unfortunately, there is no way around this. There is no happy ending in this at all. 2 children have lost their lives, and it is becoming more and more likely that Tammy and Alex, and we already know that Charles Vallow was another victim of this group. But today we're focusing on JJ and Tylee. This morning, both children were officially removed from the Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. They are now listed as deceased, and they are no longer actively searching for them, since they have confirmation from the state of Idaho that both children's remains were found there on Chad's farm. It's sad. I'll never understand how anyone could ever harm a child. I mean, as hard as it is to try to understand why anybody would commit an act of violence against an adult, it's even harder for me to understand why anybody would ever do something like this to a child. And the signs and the evidence was there. People knew what Lori and Chad were talking about when they said that these 2 children were in their way and that they had become zombies. They knew exactly what the outcome was going to be, and they should have acted. So let's jump into this actual case. There are 2 separate areas where human remains were found. As hard as this is, JJ was found in a black garbage bag, a leaf bag, buried, complete, body in a bag, plastic garbage bag. And it gets even more grotesque after that. Tylee. Tylee's body was not only dismembered, but it was burned in the fire pit there. Her remains were found scattered in an area there, buried, approximately 6 feet by 4.5 feet. So the body was spread out along with other charred remains. The best hope is that there is evidence that can be found on JJ's body. Neither the state of Idaho, the FBI, or anyone involved in this case so far has released information or said anything about how either one of the 2 died. Were they shot? Were they poisoned? We don't know. We just don't know at this time. And I will admit, there is a lot of speculation on a lot of different channels out there, but there is nothing confirmed right now as to how either one of them died. But they're gone. The search for evidence isn't over with yet. According to one of the officers who was there on the initial scene for the search warrant, the day they served the search warrant, they just didn't search the back part of the property. They searched the entire property, inside the house, the backyard, and according to him, this is not it. They may have other areas within Salem and Yellowstone that they plan to search, because that is going to play heavily into where this case goes and what kind of formal charges are brought against Chad and Lori down the road. If it can be proven that Alex, who was most likely the family hitman, if it can be proven that Alex took Tylee from Yellowstone back to Salem, Idaho, and killed her either in Yellowstone or in Salem, Idaho, if it can be proven that he did so, there's a very good likelihood that instead of them filing charges in Rexburg against Lori and Chad, that they're going to file federal charges instead. And this may very well be why they did not file murder charges against Chad once the bodies were actually found. Now, how can they charge Lori and Chad federally with any type of murder charges at all, and as opposed to the state laws? Now, going by state law in Idaho, 18-4003 and 18-4004A, they could be charged with the following in just the state of Idaho. Now that they know that both of the children obviously, had met an untimely demise: murder for hire, accessory to murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter. It would be harder for the state of Idaho to be able to prove first-degree murder, because they would have to prove that the murder was done by their hands, that they knew in advance, planned it, information. Right now, they have learned a lot of information from what has been released from the cellular pings from Chad, not just Chad's cell phone and by Tammy's cell phone, but also from Alex's cell phone. What would the federal charges be if they brought them? If they were to be able to prove federally, again, that Tylee was taken from Yellowstone across state border into Idaho, they could charge them federally with murder for hire. Now, murder for hire doesn't necessarily have to have a component of money involved. It could be, well, you do this for our religious group, and take care of, kill your niece and nephew. You kill these two, we'll move you up in status within the church. That is, giving something for the act. So, murder for hire. Murder for hire, federally, would bring a heck of a lot more prison time, and it would possibly, along with other charges that they could charge them with then federally, move this entire thing out of the state of Idaho, move it all to federal court. All the charges that they have right now, they can move all of them into the federal court. Lori would be looking at a minimum of 50 years in prison. Chad, if found guilty in a separate case, because their attorneys are going to argue that they want two separate cases for the entire thing. And this all goes by the fact that, that one doesn't roll over on the other for, a lighter sentence. But if they moved it to federal court, Chad could get 60 to 65 years. Because on top of that, they could also charge both of them federally with false imprisonment on top of murder charges. It's sad. It is really sad. Reading about the statements that people made, like Melanie Gibbs made, and knowing that she is most likely going to be a primary witness for the state, either state of Idaho, or in the federal case if they're able to make a federal case with this. That Melanie knew 2 months before JJ disappeared. Statements that Lori made directly to Melanie about JJ being in the way. And I'm not proven yet, because I haven't actually been able to get my hands on the complete audio. But there is a phone call between Melanie and Lori where Lori says to Melanie, "The children have become zombies." And you can hear Tylee in the background say, "No, Mom, not me. I'm not a zombie." I haven't received a complete unedited audio of that yet, so I can't prove it. And it's hard for me to even talk about without the actual proof. But how did Tylee go day to day in her life for the last couple months of her life, knowing that what the outcome was? You have to remember, everybody up until this point, Tylee and JJ knew. Everybody who had been labeled a zombie that was close to this family was dead. Every one of them. Now, the children have been labeled zombies, and Tylee knew it. She had to know what her fate was. It's very clear that Tylee was the first one killed, and then JJ. And the sad part, on top of all of this, according to the FBI in their website and the Department of Justice, along with the state of Idaho, this is not the only group out there like this. The FBI currently tracks in just the lower 48 states. They are tracking and following 13 additional groups like this with similar beliefs as Lori and Chad had in this case. Never going to end well. Never. It's never going to end well. So that's the update for today. Thank you everyone for joining me today. And have a wonderful week.